Hello YouTube. Today we're going to be looking at the Great Northern SD45. Came out in the 2016 catalog. I got a deal on it, so I decided to get one. This is the Great Northern version as seen. This is not Hustle Muscle. It's a sister locomotive with the first order, ordered in 1966, number 402. It was the first order of the Great Northern SD45, and it was 400 to 407. And Great Northern rostered about a little over 30 of these units. This unit was never painted big sky blue in the late 60s, so that's one of the reasons why I got it, is because it is correct for my time period of 1969. Now, overall, I think this unit is wonderful. The details are a lot better than our GP35 counterpart. There was a lot of complaints on the OGR forum about the Pullman orange colors being inaccurate, but honestly, any weathering to any locomotive will really just help. These were really dirty half the time anyways, especially up by the exhaust vents, and just all around. This unit was about 4 years old in 1969, so, or three or four. So weathering will be needed, and it will cover up whatever the Pullman orange gets wrong. People are usually pretty particular about the color of the engine, but I don't know. I mean, it's good to get it semi-accurate, but I've seen worse, so this is pretty okay. This is under fluorescent lighting, so makes the orange a little more standout, and it's not glossy. Here's the GP35 they came out with a couple years ago, but you can see the paint is more glossy, which is not very accurate. But it depends on the railway, because some of the NP Northern Pacific colors were glossy. But anyways, overall, Lionel did a pretty good job on this model. They got a lot of the features correct for the outside. Fixed pilots on the locomotive. If you touch it, they kind of swing, but they're fixed. The beacon is correct. Firecracker antenna placement is correct. The diamond mesh on the side of the locomotive is correct. The dynamic brake and the blower motor duct on the other side, I would say, is correct. I don't know half the fine details, but for the most part, it's got the ratchet strap in the right place. Some inaccuracies of the engine. The Great Northern never had white steps. These were green. I had to go in and look at some of my prototype photos and some of my pictorials. The steps were not white. They were all green. This was all green. One thing really, it's kind of minor but is bothersome, is the door. This is supposed to be Pullman orange across, and they did it correct on the GP35, but like the GP35, the back side is wrong, but the back side of the SD45 is correct for the Great Northern. The Pullman orange, or the Pullman green, would come down on the back side, so that is correct. So, and I think the MU attachment is fairly correct. And horn placement and detail is correct. That is really exciting. I thought they were going to put a winterization hatch on it, which is wrong. They did on the 400 Hustle Muscle, but you can just go on Lionel.com and replace it with this fan covering, because that is correct for the GN era. But if you're modeling Hustle Muscle in a more modern area, just leave the winterization hatch on, because that is correct. But for the Great Northern era, it is wrong. You're going to want to get a fan housing like this, because that is correct for the Great Northern era. Front end of the locomotive is fairly accurate as well. it looks great overall aesthetically. They even got a snowplow pilot. But one thing that really has been bothering me, and I'm not the only one because I looked on the OGR forum, is the sound of this unit. It's the 710 prime mover, which is wrong. I can go on YouTube and look up a SD45 or even an SD40. One way to decipher these turbocharged units is they have a lower drone to them in lower horsepower settings, so on step 1 or step 2 versus the SD 710 prime mover. So we'll take a listen now. So this is technically wrong. It's supposed to have a lower drone to the diesel unit, and I wish Lionel would correct this because not every engine is a 710 prime mover, especially the 645 engine block series. They've made so many of these locomotives, yet they can't get the 645 prime mover in it. I would literally buy a soundboard with the 645 prime mover if they just offered that. And I really hope they do in the future, and for future locomotives, get the 645 in this unit. It is highly frustrating knowing it needs to sound a lot lower, because if I fire up this 35 over here, it's actually going to sound accurate, or more accurate. Take a listen. So, the drone of this unit is technically more accurate. At lower decibels, this, if you rev it up into step 1 here, like I'm going to do here for a minute, that is technically not correct. It's supposed to have a lower drone sound like the 567 series early turbo engines. I will literally replace a soundboard of this into this if it would work. Because I want accurate sounding models when I'm paying almost $600 for a unit like this. This is ridiculous. But if I fire up the 35 here, take a listen to the difference. It's supposed to sound more like this GP35. So I'm a little frustrated at Lionel for not putting correct prime mover sounds in for how many years. It's very obvious, and there's a lot of naysayers out there that say these are just toys, we should just... No. If I'm paying $600 for a diesel unit, I expect to have correct sounds. I could switch to HO and get those sounds, but O gauge has better detail, and it actually stays on the track. So that's why I like O gauge. But when I'm paying a lot of money, I expect to see results, especially with sound. And I want Lionel to fix this problem, and I'm not the only one out there, I know. But as an O-scaler, we should not be complacent with just allowing ourselves to have whatever sounds in. We're in an era with better computer technology, and we should be able to get the results we want. So Lionel, in the future, it's a 645, I will literally replace it and put it in this unit. I don't care if it's an SD40-2, it'll be more accurate than a SD70 or SD60 710 prime mover. It's a way different engine. It has a bigger engine block than the 645. So this is technically not that accurate for sounds. But otherwise, overall, aesthetic-wise, it is fairly more accurate than what Lionel has been coming out with in the past. So, bravo to Lionel on the build-to-order, but the sounds definitely need to be fixed. So that is all I have.